Following its ouster of journalist Emily Wilder over her pro-Palestinian activism while she was a college student, the Associated Press is now engaging in some damage control, especially among its writers and staff who found the fact that she was fired questionable, to say the least. So the editors over at the Associated Press sent a memo over to their staff and they say, look, we hear you guys, you have a voice. I'm gonna read you a few excerpts from that memo and give you some more details. So they write to the staff, we don't discuss personnel matters publicly, but please know that our recent decision to dismiss a member of the staff was a difficult one. We did not make it lightly. Much of the coverage and commentary does not accurately portray what took place. Now, you would think that if they're gonna make a claim like that, maybe they're gonna get a little more specific, right? Maybe they're going to clear the air, provide some more details as to why this 22-year-old Jewish journalist, by the way, was fired for a smear campaign that the right wing amplified. But no, they didn't do that. They did say, though, we emphatically do not believe there is a widespread problem of opinion and bias being expressed online by news staff. In the rare instance when a problem does arise, they write, we take great care to examine the circumstances in detail. Now, if they had taken the time to examine the circumstances in great detail in this particular case, then maybe they would have been aware of how this was a right-wing smear campaign directed toward a 22-year-old journalist. But I would argue they didn't do that before they made their decision to fire her. And they finally say that the Associated Press is in the business of fact-based journalism.
Is it?
It is who we are. We have these values to ensure we maintain our position as an unbiased source of information and to protect our journalists so they can cover the news in all parts of the world. Just make sure, though, that you don't ever participate in any type of activism, either in college or in any time in your life, because if the right wing decides to point that out as part of a smear campaign, then we'll fire you. So
let's be clear about a couple of things. First of all, I know how hard it is to be an employer, and sometimes ex-employees lie about you, and then they say, well, no, you can't say anything about me, okay? Because I'll, they have a number of threats against you in situations like that. This is not one of those situations, okay? Emily Wilder is saying, you can release all my personal files, I don't mind. I'm asking you, what did I do wrong? And you won't answer me. So she's not saying I'm blaming you, she's not lying about you. You appear to be lying about her. So she's saying, can you please just tell me what the hell you fired me for? Because you say that it wasn't for what I did in college, it was what I did as a journalist at the AP. But I only wrote stories about Phoenix. I covered Phoenix, Arizona.
Yep.
I didn't cover the Israeli-Palestinian issue, so what did I do wrong? No, Associated Press, unless you clearly explain, and especially in a situation where an employee, a former employee says, no, you can say it. You can say why, right? I'm not gonna sue you, I'm not, whatever it is, right? But say why, right? And then you say, no, I'm not gonna tell you. Nah, that means that you're very, very likely lying. So don't give me this BS about fact-based journalism when you won't put up. So would the Associated Press stand for it? If, let's say, Russia Today said, oh, we fired someone and it looked like it's because they disagreed with Putin, but so we're not gonna tell you why. But trust us, it wasn't because they disagreed with Putin. Would the Associated Press trust them? Would they just leave it be? Or would they do follow-up questions and go, can you show us the evidence? Can you show us the evidence? Can you show us the evidence? Now the AP doesn't show us the evidence, so my job is not only to present the news with Anna, but to give analysis and perspective. And my analysis is, you appear to be lying. And that hurts your brand of doing fact-based journalism way worse than what Emily Wilder wrote, which by the way, none of it was offensive. What she wrote in college that Ben Shapiro was upset at, and now Ben Shapiro runs the Associated Press, you cowards?
Yeah, but Ben Shapiro runs the Associated Press. Ben Shapiro and his ilk decided that they were gonna decide what the hiring practices at the Associated Press should be. So they all get together. It's always, I mean, look, the right wing is it's a well-oiled machine in regard to these smear campaigns. And so they decided, okay, our next target is a 22-year-old Jewish journalist. She's Jewish.
They're accusing her of anti-Semitism.
They're accusing her
not
of
Associated Press.
I know, Jake, let me finish my point, damn it. Like, they're accusing her of anti-Semitism as a Jewish person who found the treatment of Palestinians abhorrent. Like, she wanted to do protest, she wanted to engage in activism. That's her right as a college student. And for all of the right wingers who are like, oh, politically correct stuff has run amok in America. Cancel culture has run amok in America. The right wing is, I mean, at this point, they're the leaders of cancel culture. They're obsessed with destroying people's careers over whatever activism they engaged in that they happen to disagree with. Who the hell is Ben Shapiro to tell any news organization who they should or should not employ? Ben Shapiro, who can't even make a cogent argument and has to hide the fact that he's incredibly uninformed by speaking quickly. That's the guy that the Associated Press allowed to bully them into firing a 22-year-old journalist? Really? It's embarrassing.
Yeah, and in this case, it wasn't that Ben Shapiro called for the firing. It's that the Stanford Republicans said that Ben Shapiro was offended. Ooh. And then, of course, Senator Tom Cotton got into the mix, and then the Associated Press really got nervous. Oh my God, what if the Republicans criticize us? Then the powerful would be upset. I thought you were supposed to challenge the powerful. Come on, let's get real, man. Associated Press hasn't done that in years and years and years. And so there's one other thing we should consider, that it's not just that the Associated Press gives in to the right wing, there's an excellent chance that the people who run the Associated Press are right wing. And certainly on this issue, so probably their perspective is the right wing government of Israel is always right. Emily Wilder disagreed years ago as a student. Get rid of her, unacceptable, okay? Well, you tell us, Associated Press, you're supposed to be journalists. You tell us, what's the answer? By the way, I wanna be clear. I want the Associated Press to be excellent. I actually want them to do fact-based journalism. I don't want them to be scared of their own shadow. And by the way, and I don't want them to be biased. And right now they are deeply, deeply biased. And what do I mean by that? So right wing goes, boo, and they just fire anyone, change their reporting, etc. Right? Again, I don't know if it's because they're right wing themselves or are scared. If the left wing says something, they go, get out of here. Who cares, left wing? You have no power. We only care about the powerful. Oh, progressives complaining about how we covered Medicare for all because we gave no context and pretended that it was really expensive when in fact it costs half of what our current system costs everywhere else in the world. You wanted us to report it accurately? Shut up, progressives. The Associated Press has never fired anyone, has never bent to the left. No matter how right we are, no matter how factual we are, they dismiss the left in this country and all across the world because we don't have enough power. What does that tell you about how they do reporting? No, I wish they were excellent at their job, and sometimes they are. They have some great reporters and some great editors, and sometimes we get wonderful stories from them. But oftentimes it is, as usual, bending a knee to the powerful. Here, we've got one person who wrote in our member section that I think made a good point that unfortunately is not just about Emily Wilder. Carl Tuckerson, their handle on our site, wrote in, every single AP article says Hamas seized power in Gaza in 2007. They never say that they were democratically elected. Regardless of whether Hamas are now seen as politically representative in Gaza, they recently postponed long-awaited elections. AP's wording is just flat out wrong. He says it drives him crazy.
The building they operate out of in the Gaza Strip just got, it was bombed by Israeli forces. It was bombed by Israeli forces. And immediately after that, thanks to a smear campaign by right wingers, they caved to the demands of bad faith right wingers. Good job, you guys did a great job here. Killed it, absolutely killed it. Good job, really.
Hey, can you just report facts? Stop reporting your right wing bias to us and report facts. I don't like that Hamas won an election in 2007, but they did, that's a fact. They seized power. No, we seized power when the United States and Israel blockaded Gaza Strip after their democratically elected representatives, which we don't like, I don't necessarily like, got into power. Then we said we were kidding. We didn't think you could actually rule yourselves. You're Muslims, you're Palestinians, you're dirt. No, we seize power back. We blockade you, and you no longer control your lives, and you now live in an open air prison. But the Associated Press writes every time Hamas seized power in 2007 and not mention the elections. It is terrible reporting, and it is not fact-based journalism. Thanks for watching The Young Turks. We really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.